Hello, live stream. Setting up for Coder Radio, episode 261. Pushing buttons, getting things in the go position. Sniffing glue. What? Fire torpedoes. I'd just like to take the nice romantical moment and shout out something weird. Like auxiliary power to the structural integrity field. Just to sort of take away some of the romanticism and mysticism of this moment. Just sort of rob you of that zen. To make you think, God, that guy's a little weird. Is he trolling me right now? What's going on? What kind of pre-show is this? Is he still doing it or has he stopped? I don't know what's going on. It must be time for Coder.
Hello, everybody.
OMG, OMG, OMG.
I think it's wasted effort. And the value of this is negative.
I crave ZFS. It's for people who like to mess with computers.
I think that we should all make those businesses fail.
Let's do a little pre-show news. This story is interesting for those of you that are roped into using Slack, or perhaps you're a Slack master. Amazon was sniffing around looking to purchase Slack for $9 billion, thanks to a little boosted competition for Microsoft's Teams chat platform. Slack is currently raising $500 million at a $5 billion valuation, has $1 billion in revenue, which is making Microsoft, Google, and Salesforce also interested. They're sniffing around. CNBC reports that sources claim Apple is in talks with Arrogant Project. I don't think that's actually the name, but there's a typo. And the Karen Alliance to make iPhone a medical records hub, so patients can easily share data with third parties. Forbes is running a report that says that Netflix has more than 50.85 million subscribers, surpassing major U.S. cable networks' 48.61 million for the first time. Cable subs are down 4 million in 5 years. Netflix has doubled in that time. So Netflix, for the first time, has surpassed cable in total subscribers, according to Lynchman Research. Amazon has unveiled the $20 Dash Wand. It's got a barcode scanner and Alexa support for ordering food, getting recipes, controlling smart home devices, and yes, it supports Alexa skills for $20. Oh shit. They're gonna run away with this. A manufacturer for Apple is claiming, for some reason, wouldn't seem like a very good idea, that upcoming iPhones will finally offer wireless charging. This is according to the CEO of the manufacturing company. The Verge has their review of the Microsoft Surface Pro out. They say it has full PC performance and a thin, silent, and light design with good battery life, though it has limited ports and is expensive. Netflix has changed their public stance on net neutrality, says they will never outgrow the fight. Reed Hastings says, that's the CEO, says the company was big enough that issue didn't pose a risk in the past. Facebook celebrates the 30th anniversary of the GIF by making GIFs available in comments to everyone on Facebook. Oh, God. That sounds like a bad idea. A little more? You want a little more? Huh? I'll give you a little more. How about a little news from across the pond? A little world news. The Pirate Bay is infringing on copyright, the European Court of Justice rules. The ruling comes after a 7-year legal battle which has seen the site, founded in Sweden in 2013, blocked and seized. Here's another one from across the pond. Green Party leaders don't want Windows in Munich. Munich spent a lot of time, 9 years if I recall, and a lot of money in shifting some 15,000 staff to Linux. The plan is now to move to Windows 10 by 2021, but Munich's Green Party is citing the WannaCry virus as a valid reason not to switch to Windows. They say, and this is a quote, "As with many of the biggest attacks, the computers that were mainly hit were running the Windows operating system," in a statement by the Green Party. A story that hasn't made a lot of news yet, but I think is pretty interesting. U.S. intelligence agencies tried to bribe our developers to weaken encryption, says the Telegram founder. Telegram, yeah, the chat. In a series of tweets, the Telegram founder, the Russian founder, says that when he was visiting the U.S., U.S. intelligence agencies tried twice to bribe his company and his developers to weaken the encryption in the app. The incident happened just last year during the team's visit to the United States. During our team's 1-week visit to the U.S. last year, we had 2 attempts to bribe our devs by U.S. agencies and pressure me from the FBI. And that was just 1 week. It would be naive to think you can run independent, secure crypto based in the U.S. Here's one for the Coda Radio audience. Developers who use spaces make more money than those who use tabs. Do you use tabs or spaces for code indentation? Well, it's always been a bit of a holy war among software developers. There's lots of discussion. Today, though, and I think this is from Stack Exchange. Let me double check. Oh, Stack Overflow, yeah. But today we're releasing the raw data behind the Stack Overflow 2017 Developer Survey. And some analysis suggests this choice matters more than I expected. What? So they had 28,000 respondents. Almost, you could almost round up to 29,000. They provided answers to various questions and asked if they considered themselves a tab developer versus a spaces developer. Within this group, 40.7% use tabs and 41.8% use spaces, with 17.5% using both. Of them, 12,426 of the 28,000 also provided their salary. Analyzing the data leads Stack Overflow to an interesting conclusion. Coders who use spaces for indentation make more money than the ones who use tabs, even if they have the same amount of experience. Indeed, the median developer who uses spaces has a salary of $59,000, while the median tabs developer has a salary of $43,000. Speaking of WannaCry, the NSA has linked WannaCry to North Korea. The National Security Agency has linked the North Korean government to the creation of WannaCry that affected more than 300,000 people in 150 countries last month, according to U.S. officials. The assessment, which was issued internally last week and has not been made public, somehow we have this, is based on analysis of tactics, techniques, and targets that point with moderate confidence to North Korea's spy agency, the Reconnaissance General Bureau. According to an individual familiar with the report, a leaker, the assessment states that the cyber actors suspected to be sponsored by, quote-unquote, sponsored by, the RGB. Man, Reconnaissance General Bureau, RGB, that's awesome. This worm was built around an NSA tool, mind you. So it's kind of funny that the NSA is pointing the finger at North Korea. The NSA tool had been obtained online last year, posted by a group calling themselves the Shadow Brokers. The assessment's not conclusive. The preponderance of evidence, they say, points to North Korea. It includes the range of computer internet protocol addresses, IPs, in China, historically used by the RGB. And the assessment is consistent with the intelligence gathered recently by other Western spy agencies. So they got IP addresses and other spy agencies' intelligence. It states that the hackers behind WannaCry are also called the Lazarus Group, or the Lazarus Group, probably, which is a name used by private sector researchers.
I think it's wasted effort.
And the value of this is negative. And the value of this, it's negative.
And the value of this is negative.
Should we see if we can... Nope. Nope, our time has expired. Michelle Dominique joins us on the Skype line. I was just gonna say, there's a story over on Slashdot that sounds pretty cool.
Slashdot. That's
I know.
adorable.
I know. I was just going to Slashdot because there's a story about U.S. satellites that just buzzed the International Space Station. I was like, what? That sounds interesting. Hello, Mr. Dominic. How the fuck are you?
I am amazing.
Oh, good. Screw you. Screw you. Screw
I
you.
really mean I'm terrible, but whatever.
Hold on. Let me slam some of this Red Bull down my gullet.
I have coffee.
So, since we're both in great moods, can I ask you if it would be possible, and only if you would enjoy it to do so, to join us on User Air next week? Like we just start a little earlier, and then we'll do it before Coder, and then we would just go into Coder. Because we've been trying to think of our next like JB presenter we want to get on as a guest, and guess who came up next? Really first. It was Michael Dominic.
Oh,
and I said, Mike's too big time for us. I said, he's too big time, and I don't think he likes you, Beard. And so there's no way he'll do the show with you, is what
I love beers. What time is user error? Because I do have.
Well, we just got done doing it. We just got done doing it. So
yeah. My time?
So it'd be before Coder. So I'd say like start 2 hours before Coder, maybe, or an hour. Yeah, probably 2 hours just so we have time to set up and whatnot. And then basically do user error and then stop and just go up to Coder and then do Coder.
So the only problem with that is I have a 1 o'clock every Thursday.
Oh, okay. All right. 1 o'clock your time is what my time?
I have no idea.
It would be new. So 11, I think. Is that right? Or 10? 10, 11? Let's see, 10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, so it's 11 my time. I think. I don't know. So let's see. Yeah.
I could do it at 2.
So 10 a.m. Okay. 2. Which would give us an hour before Coder.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a little tight. We could probably make it work.
I mean, my call usually doesn't go the full hour. Like sometimes it's usually just a half hour. Okay. So if I can get off of it.
Yeah, okay. Why don't we? Do you want to plan on that? Maybe we'll kind of plan for like 1:32.
1:30.
Yeah,
let's plan for that.
And then we can just stay up to date in Slack on like you can just ping us when you're done and we'll roll with it.
I am turned on by this plan.
That's exciting. I think that'll be good. All right. So chat room, well, you won't. We don't do. Actually, that's part of the fun thing about User Air is we don't do it live. So you can. It's one of those shows where you can say whatever the fuck you want, and then if like there's some things we've said, we're like, yeah, we're not gonna put that on there.
You mean I can rant about James Comey and you don't put it live or on YouTube?
Yeah, that doesn't go live.
Thanks for that, by the way. That was.
Hey, what me?
Rekai.
Don't blame me. Don't blame. Well, we should put that in the show. That'd be good. That'd actually be okay. Hold on, I'm gonna record. We should get started because that'd be a good starter. Oh, hey, you know what? I don't have loaded over here because this is how professional I am. I have Star Trek sound clips over here. So yeah, I could do that.
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was loud for me too. But you know what I didn't have loaded was for some reason the Coder soundboard because hashtag professional. So but now I'm ready for
business.
Yeah, so now I'm ready for business. All right, here we go. Let me do a quick levels check. I said go. There we go. Hello. Hi. It was a little hot. Coming in. All right. Okay, we're good. All right. Okay. All right, chat room. Could you do us a solid?
My love.
Yeah.
My love. Are we working off the same doc? Because I added stuff to yours and I don't know where I am.
Oh no.
I think we fucked this up.
Oh no. Which doc are you? Are you on the doc I created or the doc you created?
Where is the doc you created? Hang on.
Which doc are you in? I mean, I don't even see you logged in. I'm in the doc that
I
has
am
more
now.
stuff. I'm in the doc that has more stuff.
Yeah, okay, so I added in, so okay.
Okay.
Think we're
So how come I don't see you in this doc? Oh, there you are. Now I see you. Okay.
Because it's Linux and it's slow and shitty. Oh,
Whoa! Save it for the. No. All right, here we go. In 3,
all right.
in 2.
Crap.
Oh, and then of course a plane. Man, these things are becoming the bane of my existence. If
Oh,
not
all right,
something
boy,
more-
you gonna sass me like that, you little?
Wow. I
It's
mean,
getting heat in the
I'm not
heat of
saying it's
the
not.
eye.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. Get ready.
Computer, this isn't what I wanted at all.
It is. Jesus, that thing is loud. I don't. Even with my gate, I can still hear that thing coming through.
I cannot hear it on my end.
Do
but
you
I'm
feel
sure
like the
you're-
chat room? I feel like last week we had some weak title suggestions. It was pretty bad last week, wasn't it?
Well, I think Comey threw them off.
So we gotta.
I think we're all a little emotional.
I just gotta ask the chat room to really kind of help us out because we're on a Thursday time slot, so we don't have as many people anymore. We gotta build that back up. And somebody keeps belching into the microphone, so people keep tuning out. And so we have all these headwinds, and we really need your help. If you could suggest a good title, 3 words or so, something that sums up the show.
I've never installed GNU/Linux.
Okay, here we go. The jet plane is gone, mostly, and we're gonna start Coder. Where's it? Okay. This is Coder Radio, episode 261 for June 15th, 2017. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Coder Radio, Jupiter Broadcasting's weekly talk show, taking a pragmatic look at the art and business of software development and related technologies. This episode is brought to you by our 2 fine sponsors, DigitalOcean and Scale Your Code. I'll tell you more about those great sponsors as this here show goes on. My name is Chris, and perched on his porch, yelling at the young whippersnappers in his yard. Why, yes, it's our host, Mr. Michael Dominic. Hello, Mike!
Misa not Michael, boy.
Oh, no! We took steps!
Michael's a gun because Rikai's a dick.
Oh no! It's shots
What's
fired.
with the no edit to Comey?
Shots fired right at the top of the show.
Jackass.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Shots fired! Soundboard's gone crazy. Oh no!
And there goes the theme.
Whoop, 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 whoop,
Rikai, you
whoop.
know I love you.
Whoop, 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 whoop. Yeah, well, see, once we hit record, we generally just keep it in the show. That's a little dirty secret about the show. I know you're new, so I know you didn't know
Oh,
this.
thanks. Yeah, I'm only like doing this for 4 years now. Let me tell you about the feedback from last week, Chris.
Yeah, well, you knew that was coming.
Even my trusty email filter, Darth Maul.
You know,
Frankly, he was kind of
the people that made it through that part of it, though, said it was a really good episode. Because last week, we did something that we haven't really done in the past before with our WWDC coverage. We did 2 things that I think made a total huge difference. First of all, we didn't do it live. And we waited till, so the live event was on Monday. We waited till Thursday and used that time to read up on everything. So instead of doing like sort of like a armchair skepticism, like how a Linux user's first take on it or something like that, you know, from a point of like a little bit of skepticism, I was able to read all the docs, figure out what stuff was really cool, kind of get an idea of how it works, how it's going to improve people's workflow, and go at it from that angle. And you had a bunch of stuff that you looked into, and you brought honestly some great perspectives to it that I think led to some really good conversation about the whole thing. And I think it was our best WWDC episode ever.
It was. I mean, we're still like 2 for 4 on me freaking out live on the air.
Yeah.
But
that is true. That's just that also
there's
becomes,
something about WWDC that just like brings all the bile to the surface.
It really gets you fired up. Yeah, it does. Well, and the Comey testimony was literally right before we had gotten on the air. Remember, it just finished. It wrapped up.
I swear to God, I wasn't like C-spanning that the entire time.
Oh, no, of course not. Neither was I, of course, of course. You know what? Now what's happening. See, this sets a different tone for the show. As we're going on the air right now, Amazon, this isn't really a topic of the show, but I just thought I'd mention this since we're breaking news. Amazon has just unveiled the $20 Dash Wand. It's like a...
And that they're attempting to buy Slack for $9 billion.
Also that, yes, also that. It's essentially a barcode reader with Alexa built in. Cancel. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'm usually pretty
what
good
was that
about
built
that.
in there, Chris? What was that?
I'm usually pretty good about that. But it can scan a barcode of any item and then add it to your shopping cart. And it's going to be water resistant and magnetic, so you can stick it to the fridge. Okay. So all this is pretty cool. $20.
I sort of feel like I should just give it to you because they're going to make a shit ton of money off of that.
I feel like they already are. There's no way this thing's got
It's worth $20. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even the microphone assembly and the Alexa cancel, the Echo cancel.
Yes.
I know. Sorry. It's because
Hey Google, what's it called? Oh, God damn it.
the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm reading their marketing. I'm looking at their picture of it right now, and it's got the word all over it, so I keep saying it. But the technology to make an Echo communicate with the Echo Cloud services, even if it's just a Wi-Fi chip, an ARM chip, and a mic array, it's got to be about $20 worth of stuff.
You think?
Yeah, I'm close to it. And then you combine a nice housing, the magnet that's got to be good enough, and a barcode scanner. Yeah, man, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking a bit of a loss on it.
Okay, sure.
Anyways, that's not really what we're here today. We're here to talk about other things today. We have many things to get into. You put this in this. It's funny. So we had like this weird like doc conflict this week, which we don't really normally have. And so I saw this story, but didn't realize it was in our lineup. So it's like I'm getting surprised by our story. Developers who use spaces make more money than those peebs who use tabs in their code. So this is a Stack Overflow survey. They surveyed 28,000 respondents, and they also got 12,000 of them to also provide their salary, which is kind of interesting. And it breaks down like this. 40.7% use tabs, and 41.8% use spaces, with 17.5% using both. No, that's interesting, you say. No, it's not. Not really. How the hell does this work out, though?
Using both. That was the only part. Keep going.
Probably whatever the project uses. That's got to be the response. I'll just use whatever the project. Yeah.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I don't know how this works out, but the median developer who uses spaces has a salary of $59,000, and the median tab developer has a salary of $43,000 in U.S. currency.
Right. So remember, this is worldwide, and they're just converting everything to USD.
And the developers who responded both were just generally, in the sense, indistinguishable from the tabs.
So I use spaces. And it's because I'm a better person.
Wow. Okay. See, I expected you to just tear this thing apart and say there's no way this is legit.
No, this is all bullshit, right? Do you know why I use spaces? Because it's the goddamn default in all the IntelliJ tools.
Oh.
Right.
Sure. Yep.
And so is Visual Studio Code. Oh, and if you switch between different systems. So there is a legitimate reason not to use tabs, right? But also, apparently, spaces can take more space. I don't know in terms of memory.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard.
This is like more. I mean, but we're talking bits now.
I love it, though. I love it.
Yeah, let's not get too. I don't even want to get into this.
Yeah, well, first of all, we got to debate if we should be defragging our hard drives, and then after we've talked about that, let's talk about our run times. What?
I just defragged my soul last night.
Oh, I'd like to hear about that.
There was a young priest, an old priest, and a sexy rabbi,
and a lot of booze, I imagine.
Yeah, well, that happens twice a week now. Who gives a crap, right? Proper etiquette. Just so you know, if you do a GitHub pull request, you use whatever the maintainer of the project says you use.
Yeah.
So even if you think spaces are the be-all and end-all, use frickin' tabs if they're using tabs. Now, I happen to think spaces are better, but this is not something... Last time I thought about this was that episode of Silicon Valley where the HBO show, if you've never heard of it, where Richard Hendricks, the main character, dumps that girl because she's using tabs.
Yeah, that was great.
Right? Like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It really is. It is one of those causation does not mean correlation, etc. type things. It's although it will now be another quiver in the arrow. What is it? When you have an arrow in your quiver? You know, what is that called? Like when you got like a go-to now. So when the tabs versus space debate comes up in like some chat room, you can now toss this link in their face.
You should only hire people who do tabs because you save about $12,000.
Oh, but bump. Hey. Now,
business?
Yeah, exactly. Hold on.
Business?
There it is. So Marshmallow and Lollipop doing pretty good, but Nougat, no one's really using it. Actually, the Beard just got his update today. wonder how that. I think it's
So this entire time, I thought the beard was your girlfriend.
Are you? Why would I call my girlfriend Beard?
I sort of thought you were gay.
You should watch my vlog. You should probably watch my vlog.
Awkward. Moving right along. So yeah, nougat. No one's taken a bite of that tasty nougat.
Yeah, it's pretty bad actually. I guess I'm kind of I'm just sort of a little exhausted by this conversation because it feels like it's almost irrelevant at this point. It got to 8.9% and then 7.1. The latest versions at 0.6% adoption.
I feel like we talk about this every 90 days, and for the last 2 years, my answer has been the same. Google APIs, right? Just use the goddamn Google support libraries, and you will be okay.
Yeah, I think people care. I think it must come up because there's some security ramifications.
Well, sure, from the user's perspective, but who cares about them?
Well, obviously not Google or the carriers or the OEMs.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, obviously. Did you see? So, did we talk about the Essential phone on here?
we did briefly, right? I said it, I thought I did. Who knows what I said last week?
Yeah, no, we did. Did you see that he got an Essential phone? I think is it Sprint?
Yeah, but it's Sprint, dude, and I have T-Mobile, and I was like, yes, I will get an Essential phone. And then it was Sprint, and I was like, no, I need cell service.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty easy to say this is going nowhere.
Yeah, Sprint. Sorry, but at least in my area, it doesn't work. In fact, down where I'm moving to, T-Mobile doesn't work, so I'm going to have to go to frickin' Verizon, which is terrible.
Well, the thing is it's not even like I'm not even slamming Sprint. It's just if you want to come in and you want to compete with iPhone and Pixel, you've got to have the market density. And you're just not going to achieve that on Sprint. It's not even a comment on the network. It's a comment on the market dynamics of the situation.
Well, if you want a top-tier Android phone, and folks who've been listening for a while, I am not a Samsung fan at all, right? The S8 is actually a really nice phone. I've played with it. I've read some reviews. Buddy of mine has it. It's a great device if you want to be in the Android space and you want to spend like $500.
And it's not running Nougat yet either, is it? I think it's about to be or something.
Of course not. No, it's not. It's running the one before it, Marshmallow.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that a remarkable thing?
I mean, this has been the never-ending story, right, Chris? With Android, it just, they just can't manage to strong-arm the carriers.
But the S8 shipped, what, 6 months after Nougat came out? Isn't that remarkable to you?
I don't know if it was full 6 months, but it was something like 4 or 5.
I guess the development cycle of the S8, it probably wasn't even finalized.
Well, but Nougat was available for developers sometime before that.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, if I was an OEM, I would also look at that, right?
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about mobile because I know we have some really good stuff to get into, but I wanted to toss just an idea out there is having reflected on WWDC stuff now for a couple of weeks, really. It's been a couple of weeks. Do you feel like iOS just sort of lapped Android in a lot of really important ways? So the two that are really, really standing out to me is the way they've implemented, actually 3, the way they've implemented Spaces on the iPad, the way they've implemented drag and drop in iOS, and I would say probably the third tier, the third leg of that is they've also released really great hardware to go along with it. And that just seems like it's a combination, especially in the tablet side, that Android just got lapped on. Like taking the phones out of it for a second and just looking at the tablets, I think they just really got stomped.
Well, so I have a couple points here, actually. The first being, I think the only thing you didn't mention, ARKit, is actually a huge deal. It's not a huge deal for me. It's not going to be a huge deal, I think, for most of our listeners. I'm just talking like where Android now needs to catch up. I guess ARKit's probably another one, although Google's been... Well, they have the Google Dream. Well, I forgot the name of it. It's Dream something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only available. See, there's a rub there. That's only available on certain devices at certain levels.
And this goes back to the operating system thing.
Right. And also the power, right? So Google has a couple tiers problem, and I don't want to get into the fragmentation conversation too much. But outside of the US, the UK, and Europe, right? There are Android devices that are the majority, or this according to numbers I've seen, let's just say a significant plurality that just aren't very powerful, which means they can't do Google Dream in particular. That's a problem. One other weird thing I've seen happen in the last, I would say, 3 months. Chris, I redid Buccaneer.io, and I'm not really marketing towards mobile at all. I have 1 or 2 blog posts here and there talking about it, but really I'm marketing towards, DevOps and Docker. Do you know what I've been getting in? People kind of like asking about Swift development. The train has almost stopped where people went from hybrid to wanting to know about iOS, or at the very least, iOS with an Android component later. I don't know if that's excitement because it is the time of year, right? WWDC, new hardware, blah, blah, blah. Or somehow has the Android, it's companies, right? Are they now just willing to pony up for the iOS devices and not buy those cheap Android tablets that, let's say, last year they were buying, 100, Asus, whatever's.
Well, how much is the cheapest tablet from Apple? They've lowered because they have like lower end.
It's like $250 now. It's really not that bad.
I could go take a look, but I guess Adam from Vancouver very rightly asked, like, who cares about tablets? And I guess it's been sort of crossing my mind recently that I'm not crazy happy with any desktop anymore. Like, my favorite desktop that I've loved for years, GNOME 3, has becoming unreliable for me on multiple systems, and I'm sure eventually get worked out. But so what do I do? So I switch to a desktop now that I don't quite enjoy using as much, and I wonder if maybe it wouldn't be worth me considering switching to something like a Chromebook or an iPad Pro, which is probably what I go for, and use that to do my email, my Telegram, my show prep, my Slack, my video chats, like my gaming, and I do all of that on there, and then I have a MacBook that I use for when I need to use Final Cut or Motion, and not really worry about what my desktop environment is anymore, and just sort of take a break from all of it. So that's why when I was thinking about like how some of the changes they've made to iOS 11 for the iPad probably might make it more possible for me to really do that. A file system on iOS is going to be a big game changer for me. Having a file manager is going to be a big game changer.
Yeah, I mean, I already do all of my or not all, but much of my accounting, business development management stuff on my iPad Pro. In fact, I'm looking at that 10.5-inch one with Lust. I think that's just a sweet spot. I'm sure. I mean, right? You pay taxes. You have some sort of accounting needs, some sort of business needs. Why couldn't you just do what I do and do all that stuff on a tablet?
That's kind of what I'm wondering. Yeah.
I mean, I don't love the idea of a Chromebook because remember a couple years ago, I did try for some of my sales reps a Chromebook deployment, and we ended up having to change to MacBook Airs at the time. So perhaps they're better now, but
I think the other thing that sort of tilts me towards the iPad is they are crushing it. I mean, just you can sear your retinas with the brightness of that screen.
That's true.
And that is a killer feature when you're droning in the summer, because I can't see my screen very well in the bright sun. And the iPhone is better than most, and it's already difficult. And so the other thing that a large, high-resolution, extremely bright portable screen that I could use for drone photography would also – it's almost worth it just for that. And so because it's even brighter now than DJI makes a controller for like a lot of money that is super bright that you can get to control your drone for this exact problem. And it's a little Android tablet. And now the iPad is a much better screen and much brighter than that thing is. So I kind of like the versatility. And the other thing is my kids all have iPads, so there's a lot of iOS games that we all share, and we have a family account set up so they can all share the purchases and whatnot. So I could join that with my iPad, and I get all the stuff they already bought or I bought for them.
Yeah, I mean, can we just go ahead and announce it?
What? What's that?
The Apple Action Show.
Yeah, right.
Every Sunday at about 9.
Welcome to iPad Today. Oh wait, somebody already tried that.
Oh,
no, I think there's not really a story to be had there. It's just another work tool. I don't think it's like back in the day. There could be a content to be had there, and now it's like, okay, well, I'm going to use this tool for a little while to do some work.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say just to stop the hate mail, I'm doing this show on the Raytail again.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It's different tools. That goes back to that. So all of the machines in this room, I'm sitting in front of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all running Linux, And so those are the right. I would never use an iPad for that. I would never use an iPad to edit video. But if I'm browsing the web, reading email, and taking drone photography and doing Slack, well, actually, it seems like a tablet would do a pretty good job at that.
Now, if you were to use Yahoo Mail, what device would that be on?
Oh, that would absolutely be on my Marissa Mayer. It's got little rhinestones on it. Yeah, that's interesting. This is interesting.
Right, Chris at JupiterBroadcasting.com. That's him.
What? No, she does. She has a phone. Okay, well, I'm not.
I have rhinestones on her phone.
She did. So Marissa Mayer is out now. Yeah, the acquisition's complete, and she says in her exit interview, she's looking forward to using Gmail again.
You know what? I get that. I'm gonna clap. I applaud her honesty.
Is that like a super deep burn?
I feel like not updating Yahoo Mail for a number of years is also a deep burn to everyone who's forced to use it.
She was quoted as saying, "I look forward to using Gmail again. I'm always faster when using the tool I designed myself."
Translation. Hey, Sundar, can I come home, please?
She then later tweeted, "This was an out-of-text comment about Gmail's design and how it's evolved. I will continue to also use the excellent Yahoo Mail."
Yeah, okay. Just moving along from this.
I love it, dude. I love it.
So other things that suck. $9 billion from Slack. Okay.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say beyond that, really. I just think
that's a number that doesn't mean anything.
It's not going to happen. Microsoft's also sniffing around. It's not going to happen. Slack's not going anywhere. I call it right now. Amazon's not. Well, maybe. If they're going to sell to anybody, it'd be Amazon, and that'd be such a good purchase. Let's talk about let's shift gears. Let's take a minute. We'll talk about Scale Your Code, and then we're going to do a deep dive into our topics this week. So go to scaleyourcode.com and get access to interviews, inside looks, and tutorials. You subscribe, and you'll get an email when new stuff gets posted, and you get access to the interviews with experts. You can listen to top-notch professionals who talk about all of the type of issues they've run into, from technical challenges to cultural challenges, team and scaling challenges. Hear directly from the people that solve these kinds of problems. I mean, that's really the value in it. If you want to build really impressive, reliable software, you can learn how to develop the best code and the best infrastructure from the people who have done it. I've covered some of the interviews on here, and I thought I'd mention one that we haven't talked about before, because it's one of these things that can make such a huge difference with your site. How to optimize images for faster load times. Man. So this is with Kelly Sutton, and Kelly's the chief product officer at Imagix. He's also worked on Layer Vault, Designer News, Hack College, and the Cult of Less. And they talk about optimizing images, how it can give you some really big savings and results and way, way improved loading time. So check it out. Go to scaleyourcode.com, sign up to the mailing list, get access to the interviews. It's low flow, so don't worry about getting spam and a bunch of stuff like that. Scaleyourcode.com. And thanks to Scale Your Code for sponsoring the Coder Radio program. Boo-da-boop, boo-da-boop, boo-da-boop. So, do you want to warm up by talking about this scam that's been going on in the App Store, or do you want to jump into BotKit? It's your choice. I say, sir, it is dealer's choice today.
Let's just do it quick. Okay, so there is a scam on the App Store. Someone posted this to subreddit. It's a post from 9to5Mac, so a pretty reputable source. It is an app that claims that it's a free trial and then attempts to charge your App Store credit card, or if you have an Apple Pay account, whatever you pay for your apps on the App Store with, like $100 or $400.
Yeah, $99.99 for a 7-day subscription is one option.
Right, and it will keep trying to do it. So like one guy got ripped off for like $400. Just be mindful, right? Apple does vet the apps, and certainly if your corners are not correctly rounded, they will reject you. Or if you're 32-bit, some people are still bitter. But somehow this got through. So just be mindful when you're downloading stuff. There's a couple of these in the app. When I say a couple, supposedly there's a lot of these in the app.
This is insidious too, because it's targeting people who know that they should be concerned about security but don't know how to protect themselves. So they look for things like a VPN app. So one of them was like a faux VPN app. The other one is a virus scanner for iOS, which if you have any knowledge of how iOS security architecture works, you know that's going to do literally nothing for you. Nothing. And with a $99.99 7-day trial subscription. Then some other people are trying to cover their tracks, and they're getting these fake VPNs with $100 subscription buttons. There was a Sensor Tower one. There was an app that, according to Sensor Tower, who did the investigation, sorry, shouldn't mix that up. said that there was one that charged around $80,000 per month, or received $80,000 per month in revenue, and it offered essentially no services, and it just basically makes money by scamming people into agreeing for a subscription service. And, you make the payment system super easy. It's one thumbprint away. You have it on your Touch ID sensor. Next thing you know, you got a phony antivirus subscription.
And so this is how you make money on the App Store now.
Yeah, in fact, I think part of the dirty play here is they took advantage of the App Store search ads to get visibility. That's how people found them.
That's exactly what they did.
So that means this thing made it through App Review, and it made it through the advertising.
Also means Apple got a significant cut of this money because they got the search ads and then they got the 30%. But hey, whatever.
And that didn't show up on their radar either.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's that. So
okay. Yeah,
we could talk about... Let's talk about bots, Chris.
Yeah, I want to talk about bots. It's a topic that I feel like isn't really moving as fast as I envisioned it, but boy, am I excited about it.
So, Marky Mark, the great Mark Zuck, the Facebook Messenger bot is now going to help you negotiate purchases with people.
Yeah, it's gonna. So, it's what the hell is this? So they're using a bot to do negotiations between humans?
So it's a pretty good read. We have the article in the show notes. Basically, it assigns a mathematical value to each option based on the response it gets and tries to optimize for the best possible outcome for you. Just like you might do if you had read The Art of the Deal, perhaps, just to name one book you may have read, theoretically. It tries to... And they have they have that Facebook Marketplace product, right, where you can sell like secondhand stuff on Facebook. You could see where this might kind of make sense, almost like an automated bidding system on eBay, where you have like the bot automatically negotiates for you based on parameters that you set. It's where I think they're going with this. But from a proof of concept, under the hood, it's basically a decision tree. I mean, there's a nice diagram they show you how it works.
Yeah, they said they smashed game theory together with deep learning.
Yep. With derp learning.
Yep.
And it works a lot like any classic decision tree you learned about in school, with whatever juicy trove of data Facebook has about how people do things on their marketplace product and on other. So it's not super clear where they're getting this data from.
No, that's for sure.
My assumption is based on the nature of what the bot is doing, and knowing that my wife loves the Facebook Marketplace to like sell things. That seems like the obvious place, right? Because it opens a chat bubble. You offer a product. Someone says, I'm interested. Then you negotiate the price. I can't say that it's not necessarily getting from data from other places.
I don't blame them. I mean, if they have the data, it's theirs. We're giving it.
No, I'm not saying it's malicious. I'm just saying that, I want to make sure that because I know a couple folks on Facebook, listen, I'm not trying to misrepresent the technology, but based on the limited information they provided in their press release, it seems like the way it works, based on the diagrams, based on the chart. And again, I would encourage you, if you're interested, go ahead and read their documentation on this. It's actually really cool. But it takes their treasure trove of data and says, this is how, quote unquote, successful people operate in this context. And it assigns mathematical values to each decision, and bot kind of negotiates, not necessarily for the best individual to move, but for the best overall outcome. Another bot that does this, if we want to use the term loosely, is AlphaGo. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, I just shared a white paper on AlphaGo where it just beat the reigning Chinese champion. I forgot her name, but she's a prodigy in the Go. Go, if you don't know, is an ancient board game, much more complicated than chess. And the way the comment she had after the game was that AlphaGo's moves seemed strange to her. And the reason for that was it wasn't calculating the best move right now for the situation. It was calculating the best overall move for the game, where a human player would be much more, you said this, I'm responding this way, right? You moved your piece here. I mean, I don't play Go, but I play chess. So, those of you who play chess, there's such a thing as you could do a gambit, you can do a sacrifice. Humans are pretty close to, or pretty prone to, overprotecting their pieces, right? So a human might be less likely to do a non-clear sacrifice, where an AI, because it can do so many more calculations a second, and this is literally what AlphaGo does, will look at the long game and say, well, this move might seem insane now, but if all these variables come into place, I have this scenario which is worth X, and then this that's worth Y, and it goes through and it just basically hardcore calculates it out. I feel like I got in the weeds here, Chris.
No, I find it fascinating. And so so that's how they make the decision process. And then the way they do the dialogue, it sounds like by my read of it, is they essentially treated it like they would game dialogue, where the AI comes up with the dialogue for the player, and then the player responds, and then it uses the process you described to come up with conclusions, and then it uses the quote unquote game theory, game dialogue mechanic to actually do the back and forth in the chat. That's fascinating. It's a good mashup.
Yeah, and Facebook's kind of edge here, and we'll move on to, because I actually have some code I'm going to share with the folks. But Facebook's edge here is that is a hard company name to pronounce. Is that they have all of your data, all of your dick pics, everything, right?
And they also know the names of your friends and things, so it can spell things properly. You know what I mean? Like it can get contact names correct. It can use the correct spelling and things like that. And
it knows where you work. It knows your job title. So it probably knows on average what that job title pays in your zip code. So when it's negotiating with you, it knows, maybe $500 is trivial to a software engineer. So you're going
deep now. You're going deep. You think that's
right? Well, this is how I would use the data, right? It's $500 to a San Francisco Valley engineer is not a lot of money. $500 to
a podcaster in Washington.
Right, or the barista at Starbucks is a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So you might be more aggressive on the fellow who has the job.
I can see the bot now. I found this dick pic. Would you like to go for a lower price?
Oh, and here's your mother's email address.
Little automatic bot blackmail. What could go wrong?
I'm sure that's extortion, but we could just keep going.
Yeah, well, bots don't have ethics, so what are you going to do?
So anyway, this is an area I'm definitely fascinated in. If anybody wants to hit me up on Telegram and nerd out about this, happy to do it. But the extortion bot is coming.
Yeah, we also have a Jupiter Broadcasting Telegram group. You can find it at bit.ly/JB Telegram if you want to get in on that chaos. And you can probably rouse Michael in there if you want to get made. But be careful. Don't do it at the wrong time, because you don't know what version you're going to get. You never know.
Oh, well, I am a Gemini, and I am writing a Comey bot. He's going to help me.
Oh, man. So speaking of writing some bots, you do have a little sample here, a little sample.
I do. So I started writing this, and to be fair, this is not the complete thing. But I started writing this. Her name is Gretel. I love her very much. About 9 months to a year ago. This is the main file. It is coming off of BotKit, which is a open source bot framework that ties into the Microsoft bot framework. Slack. Oh, Jesus, a bunch of crap. You can go on GitHub and look at BotKit if you want. But if you go ahead and scroll down there, you can see, we can just kind of quickly go through the anatomy of this file. This is the basic file, right? Because I was lazy. I just did it all in one big old JavaScript file. It is running under the hood Node.js. There's a bunch of comments in there that I left in because it generates it for you. Basically what it is it listens on a server running Node.js and Express. And it listens, in this case, it ties into a Slack channel and listens for certain things. So one of the things I had I called her Gretel, doing was nag my team about, every time somebody says good morning for the first time of the day, say, hey, did you update your Jira tickets or your time?
Oh my God. Oh God, that's awful.
Yeah. And some other basic stuff. I mean, I have another version of it that I can actually look at Jira and see if somebody hasn't moved a ticket.
I like it when you write a bot, it's a jerk. It's a jerk bot.
Oh yeah, no, I was envisioning, do you remember the old movie, My Girl Friday?
I don't think so. No, you old man.
Oh my God. Hey, don't sass me, child. So you're killing me here, man. Basically, you can see there's a lot of fun stuff. This is pure JavaScript because I wasn't yet cool in using TypeScript when I wrote this. I decided not to try to commercialize this because I'm just not focused on bots right now. So if anybody wants to do something with it, have at thee. It is a pretty basic implementation. If you understand basic functional programming, basic Node, and basic JavaScript, I think you'll be okay.
Sounds basic.
Yeah, it's pretty basic, I would say, but not written in BASIC, which maybe would have been more appropriate. Oh! One of the interesting factors about this, though, is how heavily it uses ES6 and functional concepts. And this is like, you could probably get something like this done. Fair warning, I wrote this like 3 versions ago in BotKit, so there are simpler ways and less verbose ways to do things than I did them. But you could theoretically get something like this done in probably a couple hours now in the current version, which I think is really cool. I'm running this, of course, on a DO server because it is just a Node Express app. I'm pushing it up with Doku. If you want to learn more about Docker and Doku, go to buccaneer.io. Had to get it in there. And yeah, that's it. I mean, does it look crazy to you, Chris?
It actually looks pretty I can follow it. It's pretty followable, I should say.
All my code is readable, Chris.
It's nice. That's nice code. It's nice. I gotta say, we haven't done like just here's some code for a while on the show.
Yeah. I will say the gist editor somehow mangled some of the parentheses, so I apologize for that. You'll have to fix that. But yeah.
All right. We'll have a link to it in the show notes if you guys want to check out the gist. I'm excited about all of this stuff. The small little ways in which we have used automation, either by taking advantage of other people's bots or the ones we've written, I have changed my tone on something that I thought was this is just another hype, and now it's like, oh, okay, we can. The couple of things, even just stupid things like taking data from one place and putting it in a Slack channel for me to review, so I just have one dashboard to go to review a bunch of stuff, is useful. And it sounds small, but it's useful, and it keeps me on top of stuff more than in a way I was before. I discovered that we had a live show on Saturday last week on my own podcasting network I didn't even know about, but thanks to a Slack bot and the beard, I was able to, what's going on here and get things figured out. And we had everything all lined up and got it done. But it was, bots that keeping track of when things change and then notifying us that made it happen, made it all kind of smooth. And instead of something that would have caught us completely by surprise, we were prepared for a day in advance. So I say, good work, sir. Good work.
Thank you, sir.
You know a place to host these bots? DigitalOcean. Our next sponsor here. DigitalOcean. Yeah, go over there and use our promo code CODERDIGITAL after you create an account. You apply it, and you get a $10 credit. You can spin up a DigitalOcean rig in seconds. You can start at $5 a month or pay hours. I love they have all kinds of price ranges. I think the 3 cents an hour is just a phenomenal rig for what you pay. If you want to try out, say, Cockpit, I was talking about that recently on Linux Unplugged. It's a great way to manage a Linux server for people that aren't necessarily experts. You say you want to put up a simple server, you want to run 3 or 4 or 5 containers on it, and you're not a longtime Linux admin. Cockpit is a really easy way to manage your Linux box. But you probably want to at least check it out. And DigitalOcean is the way I did that. I spun up a rig in seconds. It's all SSD, so whatever storage size you want. They have block storage you can attach more as you need it. It's all based on SSD, so their performance is just great. They have data centers all over the world. They have super fast connections into the hypervisors, and they're always rolling out new features, like monitoring and alerting so you can see how your application's performing on DigitalOcean and get a sense of when something's gone down. And this is a brilliant system they've rolled out, these cloud firewalls, where you have just a central location in the DigitalOcean dashboard to define rules, and then they block the traffic at the network level so it never hits your system, never takes away resources from your droplet. And then they sort of like put a cherry on top of all of it with really, really good documentation and a simple, straightforward, full-featured API. It's it's how it should be done, from the documentation to the API, the dashboard, and the infrastructure in the service. It is. Look at this document. It is really good stuff. DigitalOcean.com. Just use our promo code CODERDIGITAL. That'll give you a $10 credit, and it supports the show. DigitalOcean.com. Thanks to DigitalOcean, and thanks for using our promo code CODERDIGITAL. Mr. Dominic, I was browsing Buccaneer.io. Ahoy, matey. I was over there browsing the really stunning Buccaneer.io. Holy crap, if that's not a pretty site. Really. Branded all up in here, containers, and just all. Look at that. If you're watching the video version, look at that thing. That's Mike's site. Look at that. That is.
Well, I modeled it after you. A kind of flamboyant, colorful pirate is what I was going for.
You nailed it. So this is an interesting post because it's sort of like, if I'm grokking where you're coming from, there's so much new stuff coming down the horizon that you're gonna have to start managing your projects in a totally different way. Am I following?
Yes, this is actually a common problem, and great clickbait. So iOS apps aren't little anymore.
Yeah.
Right? They're not, do it in 80 hours, pump it out, and you're good to go. They're actually really large pieces of software, especially if you're going to start using any of these multitasking or ARKit-like features in iOS 11.
Core ML and all that stuff is going to add
Well,
more
Core
bulk.
ML, you're in a whole nother ballgame. People need to start, people being your managers, people listening to the show, need to think about, you're not just like having a WordPress site built here, right? This is a full enterprise application, full piece of technology that needs some maintenance. I cannot tell you how many times I've been brought in, look at an iOS project, and you can tell it was just like shopped out to some vendor, as a quick slap together as fast as we can with whatever our components are. And there was no thought to like long-term maintainability or practices or handing it off to the internal team. So I'm kind of trying to bring the DevOps mentality you get working with Docker and Doku and, continuous integration, for instance, like Bitbucket pipelines, tools like that from the server side, and bring that to iOS and to Android. But this post particularly talks about iOS 11. And there's a little promo, Chris. If you go ahead and take a look at that link there at the bottom, there's a form where you can fill out for just a free consult to see where you are and where you could go. What is the least costly, least painful way to get started? Usually the answer to that question is set up some sort of automated build, automated test running. But there's, whether you're running Xamarin, Swift, React or Ionic, it is totally doable. There's so many tools. Let me just give you a quick example. There's Hockey App, Selenium, Jenkins. If you want to be a little more old school, there's tons of ways we could do this.
Yeah, it's true.
If you really want to be sexy and use Docker, we could even hook it up to Bitbucket pipelines. Really worth looking into, because these mobile applications are not small one-offs anymore. They are long-term commitments now.
Yeah, not only is the app itself usually a huge project now by standards, even just from a couple of years ago, but there's typically a large server-side component that goes with it in a lot of cases. And it might just be a database. It could be an HTTP server, but it could be something more sophisticated too. And you got to manage that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I'm finding is a lot of organizations are starting to understand that they need to manage their backends a little better, more of these DevOps practices, but they see their mobile apps as some totally different, like self-contained thing.
Yeah. Well, that's how you
just
sort of
not the
treated it
case.
early on. That's how
it was treated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And now it's, the whole world has shifted. Now it's for
The whole world has
a lot of
changed.
places that which was shocking to me to watch it happen in front of me, was a lot of places that started developing on mobile apps that became their number one platform.
Yeah.
And then the website became secondary, which was a huge shift for them. And I watched it happen internally at a couple of different companies. And it was the damnedest thing, because it was like you realize there's sometimes market forces happening that you're not even, as a geek, like you see all these things going on. You're like, okay, there's another device, there's another way to use this. And then all of a sudden you start seeing consumer adoption happen around you. And like, oh shit, this is a shift. And for both these companies, they went from Internet Explorer only applications, and one I worked at for like more than a year during this transition, to mobile apps for iPad specifically, and Android tablets. Hell of a transition.
Hell of a change. I mean, we're
now
seeing-
it's even bigger, right?
I would say, well, it's even bigger because the apps are more complex, and
exactly.
I have to hand it to Apple, in particular. They're doing a good job of making hybrid kind of hard. So, like, if you really, like, for instance, if you really want ARKit, you're not going to be able to share that code with Android, right? If you want Core ML, you're not sharing that code with Android, even if you're doing it in Xamarin.
Yeah, I was sitting during the keynote going, God, please say you're going to support Vulkan. Please say you're going to support Vulkan.
No, that's something we didn't even mention. I found that amazing. No Vulkan support whatsoever.
No, just and then I thought, well, if they don't support Vulkan, they're never going to get VR. But instead somehow they got Valve and they got Unreal to support Metal. I didn't see that coming.
Well, I mean, Metal is actually a huge platform, right? I mean, I think Unity also supports Metal. If I'm not.
Yep. Unity is the other one. Yep. Yeah, that's huge. That's basically the major checkboxes, right?
Right. Valve, Unity, you're done.
Man,
and Unreal.
I just
Game
thought
over.
I thought Apple would have to bend to them, not that they would bend to Apple. I thought it was going to go the other way. I thought Vulkan would be the
have
winner.
been really nice. I mean, I don't want to get into like a holy war about Metal versus Vulkan because it's not really my area, but standards are great, right? If we can have standards industry wide that work,
Right, we're gonna have DirectX OpenGL all over it again. Although
right? Well,
now we have
it literally
DirectX
is.
too.
It's Meadow Vulkan. Yeah, but So I thought Microsoft was going to go Vulkan too.
Come on, dude. They're gonna
I
drink
just
it.
sworn I read that somewhere.
Maybe, but I would imagine it's gonna be a transition. That's for sure. DirectX,
DirectX it powers the Xbox too, so they're
exactly
going to have to.
exactly.
Although no AR, no VR on the Xbox S, which I know again is a little off topic.
Yeah, no
But-
HoloLens. Which come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Visual Studio for Mac isn't bad.
So
And VS Code is my daily driver now.
a little pro tip for Coda Radio: if all things go as planned, Coda Radio listeners, heads up, Mr. Dominic will be joining us on User Air 14, I believe. So that should be fun. Little cross show promo there. Yeah. And also while we're promoting, I should say we have a. I know this again isn't really probably going to apply to many people in the audience, but we do have a barbecue on the 4th of July here at the Jupiter Broadcasting Studio. If you're somewhere in the Pacific Northwest area, or will be, and have the day off and would like me to feed you, go to meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting to find out more. We're celebrating 200 episodes of Linux Unplugged by throwing a barbecue.
Wow.
So we want to start planning soon. So people are going to go meetup.com/Jupiter Broadcasting. All the show's audiences are welcome. It's not just for Linux Unplugged.
But now it's called Linux Unplugged because you unplugged your Linux machines and went to Macs, right?
Wow. Dude, you at the end of the show, you attack me. You go. Didn't you just hear me say I think I'm going to switch to iPads? Didn't you just?
That's why I did that.
I'll do the multi-pad
Listen.
lifestyle where I'll have an iPad for Slack and I'll have an iPad for Telegram. No, I'm totally kidding. I'm not doing that.
Jesus Christ.
Wouldn't that
Be like the Batman, what is it? The thing he shows Fox at the end of the Dark Knight? It's just a wall of iPads.
Yeah. Well, it worked for Star Trek. Captain Picard often had multiple tablets or pads all over his table. He
You know what? And he could say things like, "Hey Google." God damn it! I need to figure out what's wrong with it.
Oh, it's not working?
I did something wrong here. Like I maybe forgot to pay Comcast.
I think it's going to, except for we're talking right now, so that's probably not.
Yeah.
I think the problem is it knows you're gonna leave it for a HomePod. It knows you're gonna skip out on it eventually.
It is not an appropriate topic for the show, but as a guy who listens to vinyl records, that seems very unlikely.
Oh, you don't like all that processing, huh? Vinyl
So,
records,
how
my
exactly are
God,
they
my
doing
God.
that?
We should pick up on vinyl records at some point. You know what we need to do? We need to do a Coda Radio holiday special where we could dig into indie games and vinyl records, and then we'll just put it out one day when we can't make it for a week.
That sounds great. You know what? In fact, I think that's great. My hipster cred will be up.
In fact, we might want to talk about it soon since you're going to be moving in a little bit. So we might want to
Yeah,
talk about
and I'm going to be homeless for a little bit because there's a problem with the house I'm moving into. Ha ha!
Well, at least that's not stressful, so that's good. So that's
no, it's
super
okay. I
good.
mean,
That's super
great.
good. Yeah. So maybe we should do a little pre-record. So maybe we can talk about that in the future too. Well, we don't have to worry about that too soon. I'm going to be leaving. I'm going to be leaving in a month from now. Actually, one day less than a month from now, I'm going to go to Montana.
Ooh,
So
be a cowboy.
we'll have to figure that out too. But we'll either have what people would love is if that son of a bitch Wes came back in here, that slick podcaster who honestly should just do the show all the time. But the truth of the matter is he's too busy with a day job, so you're stuck with me. But I think people would love it if he could make it in here while I was gone, because he can come in right studio. We have the studio microphone and the board and all that. So maybe that's
Listen, Wes is busy using spaces and making 12 grand more than us.
Oh, there you go.
That's what he's doing.
Brings it all together. It brings it all together. All right, everybody. Well, we hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We'd love to get your feedback at jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact. You can choose Coda Radio there. And we're now on Thursdays. We've moved. Find our time at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar, where the robots will convert it to your local time. You can get more Coda Radio at our subreddit, codaradio.reddit.com, where you can leave feedback. And if there's something you wanted to hear us talk about, or something you'd rather us talk about, submit it to the subreddit, and it could be considered, codaradio.reddit.com. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Coda Radio program, and we'll see you right back here next week. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. All right, jbtitles.com. Let's see what we got. EAB titles, Touch and Go by the Hawk of Truth. Hawk of Truth is back with some titles. Hawk of
The
Truth.
Hawk.
The Hawk of Truth. Hawk, you should come out here for the 4th of July barbecue. That would be so fucking awesome. Let's see here. The Bearded Bot. That's funny. Mike's Jerkbot. Jerkbot. Bot Game Theory. I kind of like Bot Game Theory. Gonna be honest with you.
Get in there.
Basic Bot. That's kind of funny too. I kind of like Basic Bot.
I like Basic Bot a lot.
Do you want to go Basic Bot? That's pretty good.
I think we should go Basic Bot. I can't even see the list yet because
Everybody's going to YabiTitles.com at once. Oh man, I feel like such an old. My body feels like such an old man these days. Like I get like when I get like back pains now, it like goes down my leg into my ankle. So like my whole, it's just like like really kind of an old person kind of pain. It's really rough, man. It's rough on the psyche. I tell you what. All right. That the song used to be one of the YouTube wrestling channels. Now, what song is that, Sweet Lou? Oh, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor. Yeah, I agree, Adam. Katie on the XPS 13, once you turn up the scaling, it's pretty good. Console is so good. Console is the best terminal on any desktop. And I'm really disappointed with Mac OS. You know, I ended up installing iTerm on that MacBook Pro. iTerm's better.
Are you serious?
Yeah. What?
Okay. Why?
Because the Mac terminal sucks.
What does it not do that you need it to do?
Well, it's fine if you change all of the defaults. Like if you make it larger, you change the look, you improve the font, you install Fish Shell, and then it's fine. But it's just
Wait. You don't use Bash?
Have you ever try using Fish? If you have Brew install Fish, and then just open a terminal and use Fish for like a couple of days. It's what it does is it does autocomplete for your commands. It starts learning your commands. So like it'll suggest the rest of like all of the tags and flags you're gonna put on there and everything, and it just makes busting through. And like long directories, like say you're gonna CD into a really long deep directory. If you've done it once before, it'll auto fill in the directory for you. Plus, you still have standard tab completion.
Ooh, that actually might just be something
Yeah,
I need to do.
it's also available on the Linux boxes as well. Obviously, that's where I first. And then I was like, well, I wonder if I can install it on the Mac. So Brew install Fish. Yeah, next thing you know, there I go.
I will say one thing, and I wish we had put this in the show, but it's okay. Having the same stuff on the MacBook and the Raytel has proven extremely important to me.
Yeah, so nice. Brew is a game changer for using the Mac in some sense because for me, it's the command line stuff like FFmpeg and all that stuff that I can use on either platform. So nice.
Oh, VGA color.
That's why
that's
Cool. That's why I think. Sometimes Fish. I don't have a lot of problems with it, but every now and then it does have some issues. So, but then you just type Bash and you're back in Bash. Yeah, I think that's why Linux on Windows is going to be a big deal.
You know what? I'm seeing a surprising amount of activity on like Reddit about that. I'm a little shocked at how quickly the Windows guys have like jumped into Ubuntu with open arms.
It's probably nice to have a good command line. So Basic Bot.
Oh, what about the PowerShell?
Yeah, what about it? Yeah, I mean, if you're going to relearn a whole syntax, why not just learn Bash? So Basic Bot is our winner, right? But really, if you're gonna by the time they introduced PowerShell, it was too late because at that point, if you're going to learn a powerful shell, just learn Bash, and then you can use it on your servers too.
You remember that 3 months I tried to work in Windows, and I was like, most of that was Bash. I'm pretty sure most of it was like, I can't just run a shell script here.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
All right, Basic Bot for Coder Radio 261. It is official.
Finally, a command line shell for the 90s. I'm installing this right now.
Fish is really good. It's nice. Yeah. It's nice. Yeah.
It's the package just called Fish.
Also, Brew turns out not just for Mac OS. Brew also a great way to get modern packages on like an old CentOS box or something. Like if you get stuck on an old CentOS Red Hat machine, you can use Brew to get modern. So you can it'll live alongside the native CentOS package manager. That I don't have a need for that, but back in the day, that would have meant the world to me.
Well, I actually have someone who keeps trying to get me to use BSD on servers, which.
Well, I wonder if Brew works on BSD. That would actually not be so bad either, to tell you the truth. Not that BSD doesn't have most stuff, but Brew has got a great community around it, and stuff is super current. which not everything is. And it's kind of nice. You know what else is nice about Brew is that I can fuck it all up and it doesn't impact the operating system at all. It's totally standalone. The operating system still manages all its own software. I kind of like Brew. I kind of like having a package manager that has no major ramifications on how my operating system works. And so that would make Brew on BSD appealing because you'd still have all your BSD package management utilities and ports for your operating system management, and then Brew for your Node.js and your Nginx's and your FFmpeg's.
Buddy, Docker.
Yeah, or Docker.
Well,
yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it now. It's getting interesting.
I mean, I'm getting to the point where I might pave this RATEL just to make every client its own Docker. That way, because there's a lot of weird shit going on with the RVM and Gem. We should talk about it one day on the air, but I don't understand what the problem is. But because I'm doing this, I've been on this legacy update project from Rails 2 to Rails 5, and I'm having to install all these old gems and all the old like C++ dependencies for them. And I'm getting all kinds of weird shit now, like really strange. I wish I had done these all in Docker containers, because then I could blow away the container and just like get out of here, right? Like, know what I mean?
I do. I'm responding to IC. He's like, didn't you know that BSD has its own package? Have you never used? Did I not?
Have you never used ports?
Did I not? Did I not just say you would use the base BSD package management tools to manage the operating system, and then use Brew to manage Nginx and
TrueOS, a free BSD, desktop BSD.
That's Chris Moore's project. Yeah, that used to be PC BSD, and now they've renamed it to TrueOS, and it's good.
Listen, you guys got me using Linux. You're not getting me to use BSD.
The thing is so here's the reality of the BSD desktop is the sphere of availability, right? So when you're on Windows, you have all of the tools in the world on your platform. Right. All software is available to you. Then you're on the Mac, and you still have a great set of tools and software, but not everything is available to you, and you might have to make a compromise. Then you have Linux desktop, where there's a lot less available. There are a few great standouts, but you don't have as many choices. There's a lot of choices, but not all of them are great either. And then you have BSD, which is another ring down. It's pretty good. There's a lot of great open source tools, but there's even less commercial support and less industry use as a desktop. It's even more rare to be using BSD as a desktop than it is Linux. And then it's even more rare to be using the Mac than it is Windows, right? And then so the further down the stack you go, the more compromises or challenges or hurdles you'll have to go through just to use a fucking tool. So it's like BSD is too far down the stack. Linux is almost too far, but still manages to straddle. The Mac is not... Yeah.
Well, Mac is easy, right? I will say one thing. I'm still pretty much struggling with the whole Unity to GNOME shift. I thought by now I'm like I can do stuff, and I think I'm just as fast, but I don't like it. So that's that's one thing that
Unity's got a couple of nice things going for it. It's got a couple of nice things.
It was very like, you need to get work done. Here's your IDE. Have fun.
Yeah, and if you run things maximized a lot, it's sometimes kind of nice the way it tucks the border out of the way in the menu up there, and that's which is also kind of Mac-like, I suppose. I like the way Unity just draws the desktop. I like the way the windows render and move around on the screen. It's like butter smooth. But they're using Compiz for that, which is kind of like a dead technology. So they got to move on to something else. Sure you have it. All right, Mr. Dominic, are we all done?
All right.
Well, I will talk to you a little early next week for User Air, which we'll be doing off air, and then we'll get on air and do Coder. So
sounds good.
You're encouraged to drink for User Air, which means you get probably a little sloshy for Coder, but I'll probably be drinking just to have fun.
I will try. I need to find a place to do the show.
I need like a cider. I think I'm going to do like a cider or something. So it's not like I'm going to get like sloshed. I'll probably just be sipping on a cider. So, all right, Mr. Dominic.
It's going to have to be vodka for me. But...
Oh, well, wow. Okay. All right.
All right, let's do it.
Maybe I'll get. We'll see. All right.
We'll
I'll talk to you next week.
Next week. Bye.
All right, chat room. So I think the next live show, although we have a couple of things still in production throughout the weekend, but I think the next live show is Ask Noah. I think that's the case. But in terms of releases, we still have a User Air to come out, so keep an eye out for that. It'll be posted in all the usual places and spaces. When User Air Lucky 13 comes out. Noah's back, and had a hell of a trip. We find out a little bit about that. It's a pretty good episode. And we have a good discussion about what to expect from Fedora, and we kind of have a great discussion around Solus, too, as well as something that causes me quite a bit of anxiety. This It's a good rounded episode of user error, so keep an eye out for that. See you later.